Leading into this trade deadline, a lot of Chicago Bulls fans are hoping that AK and Eversley make moves that get the Bulls out of being in mediocrity. We're going to talk a little bit about the decisions and things that have led the Bulls to where they are right now, plus preview the game tonight against the Blazers and dive into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Sir Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So, the Bulls. Listen, leading into this trade deadline, a lot of Bulls fans have their hope and you know that the Bulls are going to make this move that is just going to make this team better. You have the Zach LaVine trade market, things like that. And overall, this may turn into a little bit of a rant because Bulls fans are frustrated. And the reason why they're frustrated, when you look at all the data, it makes sense. Since AK and Eversley and Billy Donovan took over the Chicago Bulls team, the Bulls have a 48.4 win percentage. Now, that isn't ultimately terrible, right? It's not the worst win percentage you're going to ever see in the NBA by far. I'm not saying that. There are a lot of teams that over those same 4 years have way worse win percentages. But then when you look at it by one, like we came in that first season, we knew that was a season where AK and Eversley were really trying to evaluate the roster. We went 31-41. We followed that up, and we went 46-36 that next year after adding DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and trading for Nikola Vucevic at the trade deadline the year prior. Now, that we all know that season ended really rough for the Chicago Bulls, where they won like 7 out of last 32 games, something like that. So a lot of those wins were done at the start of that season. Then last year, we went 40-42 for a 48 win percentage. And then so far this season, we're 21-25 for a 45% win percentage. So the Bulls have not had the success. And that is one of the reasons that this Bulls team is frustrated, is that AK and Eversley came in here. They said they wanted to build organically through the draft, right? And they were going to develop. And then they immediately pivoted off that plan by trading for Nikola Vucevic, trading a lot of that young talent. And even though the Nikola Vucevic trade, they did lose, I don't think they lost that because of Wendell, though that 2 first-round picks definitely hurt in that. Vooch has been a player that has disappointed in his play. Now, some of that is because of roster construction. When you add a player like DeMar DeRozan there and they occupy the same space that they like to generate their offense from, I know I talk about this a lot, like they literally start their offense in the same place. Now, they finish in different areas, but they start their offense in the same place, which is first Nikola Vucevic to be out the three-point range. And this season, he's like a 25% three-point shooter. Terrible. But, a lot of fans look at that Nikola Vucevic trade, and that is a big part of what they think the team went wrong on, right? And then when you look at that, we have a 48 win percentage over that time, and we rewarded Billy Donovan with a secret contract extension that Bulls fans still don't know how long that extension is. It kicks in next year. Hopefully find out over this. But then on top of that, AK set the standard that we want to build organically through the draft. And then we proceeded to draft a lot of young, raw players that have talent, and you can't write the story on yet, but the coaches have not played a lot of those guys, right? You look at Patrick Williams and Marko Simonovic were the first two draft picks on the scene. Patrick Williams, while showed tons of flashes and is still extremely young and has more than enough potential, still just has not reached that ceiling or has not really developed in a way that the Chicago Bulls fans look at and they feel confident in where he's going to go, and he's up for a contract extension this year. Now, I'm not one of the biggest critics on Patrick Williams. I look at kind of the things that have happened over his career, and some of it makes sense, but he's 22 years old. He just turned 22 in August, and it's still almost the same player, right? Yes, he's refined it. Defensively, we know that Patrick Williams is a dog, and it comes down to aggression level with Patrick Williams. That talent's there. Then Marko Simonovic didn't even make it really to any meaningful NBA minutes. He was in the G League for 2 years, turned around, he's gone now, he's out of the league, he's back in Europe. You drafted Ayo Dosunmu, who this year is showing a lot of that potential coming off the bench, so we'll give you that one. Again, second-round pick. I'm not really very hard on second-round picks anyway, kind of is what it is there. And then Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry is this player that came into the league extremely raw. And while Bulls fans were ready to write him off as a bust after year one, in which he played the least amount of minutes per his draft position in NBA history, you can't write him off yet. But again, we just haven't seen it. And while you're seeing other teams use their first and second year players and they're playing big roles for the team, Bulls fans are still left wondering, what can Dalen Terry be? And that's the biggest question there. I'm not one of the guys. I'm not going to call Dalen Terry a bust. You guys know that, because I don't believe that he is quite yet. I can't call him that. He has not played enough for me personally to call him that. But again, the fact that he hasn't played enough, the fact that we don't play him regularly and have not developed him is another problem in that. And then you have the player in Julian Phillips that we drafted this year. We traded 2 second-round picks to get him. Again, seasoning down in the G League. Haven't really seen him. We got Adama Sanogo, another promising player that we signed as an undrafted rookie who's killing it down in the G League, but we just can't find a way to bring that together. But then on top of that, you look at the free agent signings. I talked about the trade for Nikola Vucevic and how that hasn't worked out because, like I said, a mix of his own performance, but also a mix of the roster construction. We haven't really supported him. It didn't work. But then look at the signings. Alex Caruso signing, hit. We knew what Alex Caruso was. DeMar DeRozan has been everything you need DeMar DeRozan to be as far as what he's shown in his NBA career. Yes, he's a very flawed defender, one of the worst defenders in the league, if we're being 100% honest, but you didn't sign him for that. But then you look at the Lonzo Ball contract and how bad that ended up being for the Chicago Bulls. And, while some Bulls fans now in hindsight would say, well, you knew he had injury concerns, you never should have signed him. The fact of the matter is, even the injuries that he showed, you would have never expected it to be like this, to where 2.5 years out of basketball and we just haven't seen him at all. You would not expect that. He was everything we needed to be on the court, but at the end of the day, proof's in the pudding. You've paid him now more to sit on the bench than what you had games that he played for you, and that ended up hurting the team extremely bad. And then now we look at the Zach LaVine situation. And while I know some Bulls fans, again, the more knee-jerk reaction-y ones, will say, well, we should have never gave him the max. If you never gave him the max, you would have lost him for nothing. And if you think that losing a talent, no matter how you view it, in Zach LaVine for nothing is the best option for the team, you're just an idiot. I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is they waited too long to move off Zach LaVine, because last year's trade deadline, we had offers way better than what we were getting now. I often talk about that New York Knicks offer that was rumored. But at the end of the day, they did not know how to read the room well enough. Their bet on continuity, their constant bet on continuity, put them in a situation to where they missed out on moving a player when their value was at the best. And so that's when you look at and those are just things that I can mention, right? There's other things that I can go into, like the Daniel Gafford again. The Bulls would have never been in a position to pay Daniel Gafford the contract that the Wizards gave him, but still, I know people look at that. The Laurie thing, I think most of that damage was done by Gar Pax, but again, that's another thing that people look at. Overall, we are sitting in a position where the totality of the decisions that you've made have led this team to, while it has some promising pieces in Kobe White, who's really showing up, while you got talent here on this roster. We have talent, but the mix of it never quite got there, and it seemed like the front office's bet on continuity with the mix of ownership not wanting to pay the luxury tax, it led us to this place now where the Bulls currently just sit in mediocrity. We are fighting for a 9th seed that we have, a 2-game lead over, I think, on the 9th seed right now. But it's like, this is what we're going for, a front office that has come in and said that they want excellence, that this Chicago Bulls team deserves excellence, right? That they want to get back to what the Chicago Bulls should and should mean to the city and competing for something meaningful. But this is what you've given us. And so while a lot of Bulls fans have their hopes wrapped up that that's going to change at this trade deadline, it's not. No matter what they do, even if they do get a much better deal back for Zach than what we expect, it's still not going to probably be enough to turn this team around right now, but it's laying that foundation and groundwork. And now that you have had a young player in Kobe White step up and show you what he can be, and while it's not, Kobe White isn't this player that you can build around and say, we just keep building around Kobe, it's going to give us a championship ceiling. No, it's not to say that. But you have a young player and young players that are going to stand up that you now need to show how you're going to help solidify that and continue to develop them. Kobe White turns 24 in February. February 16th, Kobe White turns 24, approaching his prime. We saw the same thing with Zach LaVine. Now, while Kobe hasn't been as consistent of a scorer as what Zach LaVine had up until that point, you still now got to look at that and ask yourself this: what are we doing? And that is why there's so much turmoil around Bulls fandom, so much doubt around what this front office can be, so much doubt around ownership. Because listen, we have been a franchise that, despite that, other than the 2 3-peats and a brief glimpse during the Derrick Rose era, and another one, very brief glimpse with Jimmy Butler. We have been a team that is set and been mid for damn near a decade. And when you say things like the Bulls fandom deserves more and you don't give us more, we got to stop rewarding mediocrity. And until this front office seems like they are committed to building that team, because listen, you rushed it. You rushed it. Could this Bulls team honestly probably would be the same place they are right now, but with younger pieces that probably aren't getting paid as much. And if the team had built more organically. So better decisions have to be made. And at the forefront of all of that has to be the front office and what they're going to bring for the Chicago Bulls team. Listen, just reading all that down this happened, like I said, there's even more that I could get into as far as like bad contracts and things like that I just decided not to get into. But we have to, this front office has to want it. And this front office has to start making better decisions. I've laid out many times, you cannot keep missing on draft picks, especially first-round picks that you have. Let's start seeing this team start turning things around. Like I said, it's probably not going to happen at this trade deadline, but Bulls fans are tired. Let's see where it's going to go. Now, we do have a game tonight against the Portland Trailblazers. Patrick Williams already been listed as out. The Portland Trailblazers list Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, Malcolm Brogdon, all listed as questionable, with Shaedon Sharpe, Moses Brown, and Robert Williams all out. This is the injury bowl. And so if the Bulls can't win this game, I know I usually come in here and say what the Bulls need to do defensively, what they need to do rebounding, how they need to shoot, how they need to play through certain players. Listen, I'm not even doing all that. You're playing the Portland Trailblazers. If you can't get a dub tonight against Portland, you don't talk to me. Like at the end of the day, don't talk to me. Don't. You're wasting the fans' time if you can't get a win against the Portland Trailblazers, considering how hobbled they are. I don't give a damn. I don't care that we're missing Zach. I don't care that we're missing Patrick Williams. I don't care that we're missing Torrey Craig. I don't care that Lonzo Ball hasn't played this season. If you can't beat the Portland goddamn Trailblazers today on Sunday, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing out there? So listen, I'm not saying that it should just be a cakewalk. I'm not saying that the Bulls should just overlook it. But if you play with a monochrome of effort, you should be able to win this goddamn game. Vooch, come on now, Vooch, and Drum, both of y'all. This should be games where you guys absolutely effing eat, bruh. What are we doing? I don't want to get frustrated. I'm frustrated because of the first topic. I need to calm it down. Bulls, just go out there and get a dub. That's it. Go out there and get a dub. This is a game where you should be able to get a dub. Billy Donovan should be able to coach well enough to get the damn win, man. But in the week good for Bulls fans. You already started off this road trip 0-2. Go out there and get the win. Kobe, go out there and get us the win. DeMar, go out there and get us the win. Come on, what are we doing? What are we talking about, bro? Go out there and get this dub, y'all. That's all I got to say on that one. Let's go ahead and get into the mailbag. It is Sunday. That means this episode is mainly built around your voicemails. This one's from Thomas.
What's going on, Haize? This is Thomas from DC. Always appreciate your content daily. And my thought kind of / question comment is really to kind of see what your thoughts are. I know you've been talking a lot about the trade deadline coming up and the possibilities with the Bulls being buyers or sellers. I was taking a look at the standings, and I was just really taking a look and thinking to myself, regardless if the Bulls are buyers or sellers, even if we try to revamp this team, regardless if the Bulls try to remain competitive, looking at the first 7 spots in the top of the standings, and I just don't see a trade that is going to get the Bulls better or contending. It seems like the only spot that we're really playing for is the 8th seed, and which is, Orlando's in that spot right now, or just pretty much playing in the play-in. I'm wondering, what your thoughts are about just, becoming complete sellers and just, I understand we're likely to possibly keep Caruso, but if we're just playing for an 8th seed, do you think that's really worth it? I kind of have an idea of your thoughts, but just want to check in with you just to see what your thoughts were. All right.
No trade getting the Bulls back to contending, I think, is fair. And I think if anybody is hoping that the Bulls are going to make a trade that gets them to contending, no. And right now it's about adding depth. And so, no, the Bulls aren't going to become complete sellers. I've been telling you guys, everything that we've been hearing backs this up. The Bulls are not going to be that team that bottoms out and just sells off all their pieces. to get bad. They're not going to do that. That's not in AK's history. When you look at the Denver Nuggets and what they've done since Carmelo left, and not that AK was there that whole time, but again, this team is not going to be that team that does that. We're not going to turn into complete sellers. And that comes with its own positives and negatives. But like I've said, adding depth to this team and adding some shooters, getting some more bench depth and help, and maybe some more size as well as you can, that does wonders for this team. Now, wonders as far as still making the play-in tournament, because it is going to be difficult for the Bulls to make that. And I don't think there's enough time left with where the Bulls are unless they get something back in this trade and just the pieces work and we just go on one of those crazy runs toward the end of the season. I don't really think we're going to catch it. When you look at it, we're 2.5 games behind the Orlando Magic for the 8 seed. That's catchable. We're 3 games back from the Miami Heat from the 7 seed. That's theoretically something that we can catch up, but you know that team's probably going to play better with the addition of Terry Rozier. The Indiana Pacers, we know that the trade that they made, we're 5 games behind them for the 6 seed. And then you got the Cleveland Cavaliers that we are 6.5 games behind them for the 5th seed. So it's not happening. The Bulls' best bet is to just make it higher in the play-in with maybe, just maybe, if you get lucky in this trade and things go crazy, maybe you can get out the play-in, but I'm not expecting that. But that doesn't mean the Bulls should become complete sellers, and that doesn't mean that they will. And that's what this front office has done. They are not going to be that team, especially in this draft. Like, that's the thing that I keep pointing to. This isn't the draft to try to get worse and up your draft pick. It's not worth it. And then we don't own our own draft pick next year outright. We still could get it if it's bad enough, but I don't think that it's worth it right now for the Bulls. And that's what this front office is also weighing as well. Like, if this was a draft where if Cooper Flagg was in this draft, I do think there would be a high possibility of selling off Alex Caruso for draft picks and Drum off for whatever teams would be offering, because that is a player that's worth that. You don't really have that in this draft. Like I said, after number 1, which even then, there's a lot of parity all the way down into like number 18. Like, yeah, there are players that are clearly better than others in that draft. I'm not saying not, but like the potential that's stealing on some of those guys is almost equally as high. So that's kind of how you have to look at it as well. But great voicemail, Thomas. Let's get into this next one. This one's from Alex.
Hey, what's happening, man? My name's Alex. Been listening to this show for probably 3-4 months now, and I just want to thank you for what you're doing first and foremost. And it's been a pleasure to just be able to like enjoy the Bulls season with you, with Pat the designer, with guys that love the Bulls as much as I do. So that being said, just 2 things I want to touch on real quick that I've been really excited about with the Bulls. That being Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. I'll start with Ayo. That I feel like that man has absolutely found his lane. He's found his identity. I call him the slasher now. He literally is so fun to watch in the open court. Just the way he's attacking, getting to the basket. And it's just opening up everything for him, you know, from the outside. He's got way more confidence. So it's just been great to see. And almost like the best thing that could ever happen to Ayo was having the sophomore slump, because I can tell that man wants it. You know, he wants to be here. He wants to be great. He wants to help the team. So I'm super excited about Ayo. And then also, you know, as we all are, just pumped about Kobe. And really my hot take, if anything, is that I believe Kobe is a guy that we can definitely build a franchise around. And here's why. Like, just watching him play, the passion with which he's playing with, the level of, like, desire and care, like, he wants it so bad. Not to mention that his, you know, ball handling, his leadership has gotten so much better. Obviously, he's very streaky when it comes to shooting, but just the way he, even like kind of some of his weaknesses are like when he gets emotional, like the last 2 games, both of the runs that, you know, the Lakers went on and that the, who was it 2 nights ago? I'm drawing an absolute blank right now. Oh, the Suns. They went on runs after little like skirmishes between, you know, Andre Drummond and Eubanks got into it. And then right after that, Suns got a huge run. Kobe and I forget who it was in the Lakers got into it real briefly, and there was a huge run after that. But even Kobe's weakness is that he's an emotional player, and that's why I think we can actually build off of him, because his heart is in it. And I think as soon as we see whatever happens here at the deadline, hopefully with Zach, with DeMar, whatever, that he's going to feel a level of freedom to take over the team leadership-wise. And he's definitely something we could build around. He's not the most talented guy in the world, but I trust that he's going to continue to work on his game. I trust that he's already got the heart, the desire that, you know, with him, with Caruso, we can build a team around. The other thing I'll say, just while, if it gets played or not, whatever. But I just wish Kobe would stop flaring out to the three-point line on fast breaks. Driving me nuts. He's got open layups.
Ayo Dosunmu building off a sophomore slump, I think is really good, and also having a clearer role. What's asked of you of being a player off the bench, in which he hasn't even been playing a lot of point guard off the bench. He plays a lot of wing, right? He's been playing a lot of 2/3 coming off the bench. It just frees up more. And then he's also with the bench unit that defends. They get out in transition, and the Bulls trying to play with a quicker pace in general really does help Ayo Dosunmu. His great growth has been great. I know that the stat sheet hasn't really grown a lot, but when you watch those games, you understand Ayo's decision-making, his ability to finish around the rim, how he pushes the pace, how he plays that defense. It's really been all improved for Ayo Dosunmu. And Kobe White's heart being something to build. I love how you worded that, because that is the heart and fire that he has for the game. And what you were mentioning, I think it was Jared Vanderbilt. They got tied up on the floor, and Kobe kind of just smiled and walked off. And it's like, that's the attitude. That's the type of attitude I like, right? So it was really good. It's really good to see that, and Kobe really step up and understand how he continues to need to evolve. And he's not done. Kobe can still add to his game. Now, I don't know if Kobe becomes that clear number one player that you can build around for a team that's going to go deep in the playoffs or anything like that, but he does give you a nice piece that players could want to play with and give you a nice foundational piece as you continue to build out this team. And Kobe's growth this season has been, like I said, it deserves to be the story for the Chicago Bulls this year if it wasn't for the Zach LaVine trade drama. But all right, let's get into this next one. This one's from Reginald.
Hey, this is Reginald from Columbus, Georgia. I'm not too worried about that Lakers loss because the minute I saw Jared Vanderbilt hit a three in the first, I was like, yeah, this game is over, because you had a team that was making 65% of their three-point shots. And you don't have the team built to take them on. And during the game, I was thinking, why aren't we attacking the basket more? And it became apparent. Well, it's something I realized after the game was over. It was like, they're in LA and they're playing against the Lakers, and there's no way the refs are going to, call fouls on LeBron James or Anthony Davis when they're attacking the rim. They're not going to foul out. So that's not going to happen. So you got to make your threes, and that's just not what this Bulls team is about. With regards to the Detroit trade rumors, I would like to get one of those young guys, but the guy I'm looking at most is probably Cade Cunningham. And I don't think the Detroit wants to trade him, and that's probably like a 99% chance it would never happen. But that 1% is he's going to be a free agent after next season. He's going to be on the and there's no way in hell he's going to be signed with them for the match just to be a part of another rebuilding team, just to go another 28, 29 game losing streak. I honestly don't think he wants that. I wouldn't want it for him. But if they're going to move him because of how little he makes, because he's still on his rookie deal, packaging him with, not for Bogdanovich, I don't think they move Bogdanovich and Cunningham, but they probably have something like Joe Harris, Alec Burks, and Cade Cunningham to Chicago for LaVine. And probably throw in Gallinari. Hopefully we can throw in Javon Carter and let that be it. But what do you think? Thanks.
Great point. The Lakers hit threes at a much higher rate and percentage than what they have all season long. And it's hard to control that, especially when the things that the Bulls could control in turnovers, they had terrible turnovers. You got to be able to had the Bulls limited the turnovers and been that team that we've seen at times that have had like 4 or 5 turnovers for a game, we probably would have still been in that game even with the Lakers hot shooting and us not being able to shoot three-pointers at that high rate. But woulda, coulda, shoulda on that one, man. It is what it is. You lose some games like that. It was a tough loss, but hopefully the Bulls learn and grow from that. Now, as far as Cade, the Bulls aren't getting Cade. And even what you're saying that Cade isn't going to resign, that he's a restricted free agent coming up, meaning that the Pistons can match any offer that he gets. And best believe, with how depraved of talent that team is, they're matching any offer. So, no, Cade Cunningham will be back in a Pistons jersey. They're not going to let him go. And, yeah, even if he doesn't want to agree to that team because he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, that's the unfortunate side effect of being a rookie in restricted free agency. That doesn't matter yet. So, now he could kind of circumvent it by going and signing an offer sheet with the team on like a 2+1 deal that can get him back to free agency sooner. But at the end of the day, he's still going to be, and that will be leaving a lot of money on the table as well. Cade Cunningham's going to be back in the Pistons jersey. There's no way that the Bulls get Cade Cunningham. None. And if they do by chance, best believe I'll be here on the live stream celebrating the breaking news, but they're not getting Cade Cunningham, brother. But thank you for leaving that voicemail. Let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from Shay.
Yo, what's up, Haize? Look, a lot of people was complaining about, oh, the Bulls not making moves. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Look, I'm going to take it back a little bit. Remember back in 2020, when we made the Nikola Vucevic trade, we also made other trades like bringing Daniel Theis and Javonte Green and other names such as I forgot his name, but I could be missing something, but those type of names, bringing those type of names to the Chicago Bulls, and we did that in one day. Another instance, Lonzo Ball, bring Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan here. We did those trades, and the point I'm trying to make about bringing up those trades is the fact that we did all those trades in one day. And from what I've heard throughout the years, we had those trades in place. We just need to know when was the right time to pull the trigger. So who knows? The Bulls may have something cooked up for the trade deadline. We just probably don't know about it, because think about it. AK hears all the whispers. AK hears all of you guys fans talking. Or he probably may have something cooked up where he probably is going to get Levine and DeRozan up out of here. Or there's a good chance that he might get one of them out of here. Or there's a good chance he might not move neither one of them and probably move one of the bench pieces. Either way it goes, just chill, relax. Just because our names aren't being brought up in a lot of trade rooms like other teams, or we're not doing it at a fast pace like you want us to do, don't necessarily mean we're not doing nothing. At the end of the day, when you do trades, you got to think long term. Everybody just wants to think short term and, hey, get this person out there, get them for some picks, but I think the Bulls are thinking about this in a long term sense. Anyway, so what you think? Peace.
Bulls having something cooked up. Here's what I'll say with that. And I get what you're getting at, Shay. And while you said, yes, that year that they traded for Nikola Vucevic, they had these deals lined up and then they executed them. But you say that they've been hearing fans. Well, they've been hearing fans for 2 years. And I'm someone that I believe that the proof is in the pudding. I'm all about show me, right? You can tell me all day, show me. So if this front office comes out at the trade deadline, is making moves, and improving the team, you showed me. I'm going to shut the hell up. I appreciate you guys for what you do. Go out there and let's see what the Bulls do. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to show me and many other Bulls fans before we feel safe in just assuming that they're going to. So let's hope that they do. Like I've said before, I've given them credit. Hearing that they're open to moving Lonzo Ball's contract tells me that the wheels are turning there at least somewhat, right? Let's see what ends up coming of it. Great voicemail, Shay. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys already know I'll be live for the pregame, the halftime hangout, and postgame shows, all live on the channel tonight. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.